Hello there. Welcome to the practice set for solving quadratics with the quadratic formula. Like and subscribe if you find this video helpful. Drop a comment or question below to engage, and check out the other video lessons or playlists on the channel. Without further ado, pause the video to work these problems on your own, and then come back to check your work. Okay, so let's go through these. Now, I did write in the directions there that you could check your work by graphing, and you might find that works like two directions. Like you might find it helps to graph it first so that you know the answers, you know what answers you're looking for, and then you know if you land in the right spot, or do the workout and then check it with the graph. I did not put any graphs in this, so if you want to check them with the graph, that is on you. So remember these steps for using the quadratic formula. We need to make sure everything is an ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form. And the first thing we want to do is identify A, B, and C. And I usually tell my students to write out the list, A equals B equals C equals, because if you make a mistake there, it just helps that your teacher see that you make a mistake like right at the beginning. And so you're working with the wrong numbers in the problem, but you might do all the rest of the steps the same. It just makes it a little bit easier to grade. Now, for my A value, we do need to remember that the coefficient of x squared is a 1. So that's 1x squared. I have seen many times students put x squared in for their A value because they simply do not see a number there. So that is a 1x squared. B is -5 and C is +6. X is equal to the opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. That took me about 10 seconds to write out from start to finish. So I would strongly encourage you to write it out. Okay, write it out, double check it, make sure that you're copying it correctly. And now we plug it in. So the opposite of B. B is -5, so the opposite of B would be +5. Plus or minus the square root of, strongly recommend that you put your B value in parentheses, even if it's positive. If you are in the habit of doing it, then you won't ever forget when you need to have it done. And we have 2 times 1. So I just plug that in. Now, what I am usually okay with my students doing is if you have that multiplication by 1, that if they leave that out. So you just 4 times A times C. If A is 1, that's not going to change it. So I wouldn't make them write that. And the same with the 2 times 1. But again, follow your teacher's directions. Sometimes teachers will want to see a direct substitution in just to make sure that you got all the numbers in the right spot and to verify that you have that skill. And that's typically when you are just learning how to use it. So now we've got to tangle with that order of operations. So we're going to start with the squaring. -5 times -5 is +25. And then 4 times 1 times 6 is 24. So we'll end up with 25 minus 24. And 2 times 1 is 2. 25 minus 24 is 1. And the square root of 1 is 1. And now this is simplifiable further. So you want to simplify these as far as they will go. And we cannot add and subtract. That is supposed to be an arrow. There we go. It's a little bit better. Okay. And so we'll have one of these is 5 plus 1 over 2, and the other one will be 5 minus 1 over 2. 5 plus 1 is 6. And 6 divided by 2 is 3, so one of the answers is 3. And 5 minus 1 is 4, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we have answers of 3 and 2. And I'm looking at my thing, and I have like a, yeah, that's fine. I don't know what I copied on mine, my paper that I'm looking at, like with the answers, like I've got something that's not right there, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, that's fine. Because I'm thinking about the factors, so we're good. Moving on to the next one. Sorry about that hiccup. Times when you're second guess yourself, but you don't want to re-record a whole chunk of video. Okay, this one is not in the correct form, so we need to make sure that we do get this set equal to 0. So I'm going to start by subtracting 5 from both sides. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 equals 0. And then we want to clearly identify our a, our b, and our c. So a is 2, b is 3, c is negative 5. Writing down that formula, less than 10 seconds. Okay, it might take you a little bit longer. I can do it from memory. You might have to still look at it, so it might take you a little bit longer, but you'll get faster. Okay, the opposite of b. So the opposite of 3 is negative 3. Plus or minus. Now, technically here, if you are squaring a positive, you do not need to put it in parentheses. But if you are used to putting in parentheses, then you won't accidentally forget when you need to. So that's usually what my recommendation is. And this will be, 2 times 2. And right here, it might be helpful just to remember, because a lot of students slip up with this, that when you're going to be multiplying by stuff that has negatives in it, it is generally helpful to just remember that that minus is plus negative. Okay, just that is often helpful to remember. Okay, so negative 3 plus or minus 3 squared is 9. And then this is going to be negative 4 times 2 times negative 5. So negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 5 is positive 40. And 2 times 2 is 4. And now we'll add. So 9 plus 40 is 49. And the square root of 49 is 7. And of course, we can go further. So we'll have negative 3 plus 7 over 4 and negative 3 minus 7 over 4. Negative 3 plus 7 is 4, and 4 over 4 is 1. And negative 3, now this is another spot where it just can help a lot of students, plus negative 7. So negative 3 plus negative 7 is negative 10. And then negative 10 over 4 can be simplified. Those are both divisible by 2. So negative 5 halves. And there are our answers. Okay. And I can take a look. I'm doing about the maximum number of steps that you can do when I'm teaching something or demonstrating something for students that it's like new to them. I will tend to do a lot more steps than I personally would do. And even including the writing of the formula, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 lines of work. And there's certainly some places where you could collapse this together. I think, yeah, some places where you could collapse that together. Just be careful. All right, next one. So now you've got some options here. So you could subtract x squared from both sides. So you could get 0 is equal to negative x squared plus 4x minus 4. Or you could get everything onto the other side. Now, I tend to want to keep everything or my a value positive. All right, I tend to want to keep the a value positive. So even though this is one less step to do, I am more inclined to get the 4x and the 4 over to the other side. So I would subtract 4x from both sides and then add the 4 to both sides. So x squared minus 4x plus 4, and then 4x minus 4x is 0, and negative 4 plus 4 is 0. My a value is a 1, my b value is a negative 4, and my c value is a positive 4. Now, if I had done it the other way, okay, so if I had gone with that first way, my a value would be negative 1, b would be positive 4, and c would be negative 4. So let's write down our formula. X is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And plug in our numbers. The opposite of b is negative 4, and the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. plus or minus. Again, I strongly recommend that you throw that b into parentheses. Minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2 times 1. Okay, -4 times -4 is 16, minus 4 times 1 times 4, which is 16, and 2 times 1 is 2. 16 minus 16 is 0, and the square root of 0 is 0. Okay, now this is like where things kind of get a little bit interesting. At this point, like 4 plus 0 is 4, and 4 minus 0 is also 4. And so essentially what you've got there is 4 over 2, which is just 2. And you're thinking, ooh, wait a minute, that's one answer? That would be a great one to go and graph it. Just gonna throw that out there. Maybe go and graph it and see what that graph looks like. Now, an interesting thing to note here is while there's only one answer, that one answer is coming up 2 times. So it's coming up once for the plus 0 and once for the minus 0. And we don't need to write it twice, because if 2 is an answer, 2 is an answer. I mean, there's only 1 2 on the number line. But it is of note that the 2 is getting generated twice. Okay, once with the plus and once with the minus. We just don't need to write it twice. Now, just because I am all in for fun, okay, let's take a quick peek at if you had done it the other way, just to show you that it does come out the same. So if we were using the other set of numbers, the opposite of b is, in this case, b is 4. So the opposite of 4 would be -4, plus or minus the square root of, this would be 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times -4. Oh, -1. There we go. It's like, that's not going to be right. All over 2 times -1. And be really careful here, because it's going to be so much fun. We got -4 plus or minus. Now, 4 squared is 16. And this, again, just remember, this is plus a negative. So it's -4 times -1, which would be +4. And +4 times -4 would give you -16. 2 times -1 is -2, and 16 minus 16 is 0, and we end up here again with -4 plus or minus 0, and instead of +4 over +2, we have -4 over -2, which would still give us the 2. So if you were just wondering, like, I don't know if I really believe you that those numbers would come out with the same answer, here you go. Now, this is one example, but you are more than welcome to do all of these problems 2 different ways, if that will convince you more that it will work both ways. But I do recommend getting the A value positive, especially since I know what strategies are going to come next. All right, next one. This one is in the right form, so this is good. A equals 5, B equals 6, and C equals 1. And take that moment and write down that formula. It should not take you more than 10 or 15 seconds to write it down. And let's go ahead and plug it in. The opposite of B is 6, so the opposite of 6 is -6. We're going to put that 6 in the parentheses just so we don't forget about it. 4 times 5 times 1, all over 2 times 5. Okay. Underneath that square root, we've got 6 squared, which is 36, minus 4 times 5 times 1, which is 20, all over 2 times 5, which is 10. -6, now 36 minus 20 is 16. And the square root of 16 is 4. And now we've got to split it up. We can keep going. So we have x is equal to -6 plus 4 over 10, or x is equal to -6 minus 4 over 10. -6 plus 4 is -2 over 10, and -2 over 10, those are both divisible by 2, and so we'll have -1/5. and -6 minus 4. And again, this is -6 plus -4, okay, which would give us -10, and -10 over 10 is -1. All right. And last but not least, we've got this one. Now, this one, same as the one before, you can move the 3x squared over to the left and work with a -a. You can move the 2x and the 7 over to the left. I think I said left one, I meant right, but move them all, like you can move them either way. Now, typically what I would do is this, I would not even show what I was doing. I would just say, listen, I know I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, and I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So when I subtract them, I'm going to end up with minusing, and then I'll have the 0 on the other side. And that should be fine for most teachers, like at this point, if you do it long enough. And here we go. So let's go plug those in. I'm going to write down my formula. The opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The opposite of -2 is +2. Plus or minus, and here you do need those parentheses, minus 4 times 3 times -7 all over 2 times 3. And quick reminder, we've done this several times. It might be helpful to remember that that is plus a negative, so that you know that you're dealing with a -4 there. 2 plus or minus. Now, under the square root, -2 times -2 is 4. And then we're going to have, oh, this is lovely. Let's see, -4 times 3 is -12. And then -12 times 7 is 84. Over 6. And now we've got, what do we have there? The square root of 88. Okay, so that can be simplified. So we're gonna have to like do a little bit of work there. So it's divisible by 2. So I'm gonna go 2 times 44, and 2, this will be times 2 times 22, and this will be 22 times 11. So there's my perfect square. So 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 times 2 times 2 times 11 all over 6. And there's my perfect square right there. And so we get x is equal to 2 plus or minus 2 root 22 over 6. And this does simplify more. So you can split that up. And 2 over 6 simplifies to 1/3. And this would also be 1/3, or you can write that as 1 plus or minus root 22 over 3. Okay. Okay, that's it. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Drop a comment or question below, and check out the other content on the channel and let me know what you'd like to see next. I will see you in the next one.